Does this mean that we're not considering the request for the 2 trucks tonight?
No, we're doing
Well-
that.
No, we can.
Yeah,
We haven't heard, you left out the trucks.
yeah, Rich,
And the electric
Richie.
tarp?
Rich,
Rich?
You left out the trucks and the tarp.
you want to talk about the trucks and the tarp?
You did the dump body, you didn't do the trucks and the tarp.
Well, let's see, we have,
We don't want it.
with the stainless steel dump body, also is a tarp system that would go with that. My memory on that is, I think it is about,
But that's also required, right?
yes,
That's required.
you need the tarp. And instead of us spending the $1,750 on the tarp system, along with this new stainless steel dump body, I was able to get a tarp system that's just as good, just that it's not name brand, for about $13.50. I don't have the paper in front of me. but-
$13.95.
There you go. Thank you.
You know, one more quick thing. I'll tell you what Nick does. The air seat in our grader blew out. Just from age, a new air seat is $900. Eugene Lavolpe does a great job. Eugene with sanitation brought in 2 brand-new dumpsters that do not fit our forklifts for our sanitation department. So Nick got in touch with Carmel Highway today. They had an extra air seat. They wanted the 2 dumpsters. We went down and we did a trade-off. So right away, it was at $900 savings. And that's the kind of, horse trading that you do. So
Make sure you put a note in your inventory that happened somehow.
that never happened.
But what about the 1-ton trucks? You don't want those?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get, the 2 1-tons.
Well, you didn't talk about it.
Oh, I thought I just did.
Is it in your equipment line?
What's that?
Is it in your equipment budget?
It's in my equipment budget, yeah.
The ones not to exceed 72,600?
Yes, the TerraStar that we're getting, that was ordered last year, we still haven't arrived yet. That's why it's important that we talk about this now, because when you order a truck, it's not until 4 to 6 months later. But these are bigger than the 1-tons we were getting, but they're smaller than the TerraStar, so it was affordable within this budget, and they're good medium trucks. And, that comes with a sander and a plow, and we'll have 2 of those plus the TerraStar. So we're gonna have 3 new trucks to the fleet this year.
And these are the ones you use for the intersections, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to hit some good plow routes.
But you could do a
And
lot of the
hopefully some
intersections.
military pickups or, forestry pickups, because there used to be, what I'm being told by Louis Strickland, who's the senior, I rely on Louis a lot for information. There used to be 1 big truck and 1 pickup for every route in the town. And now we're down to like,
We only have two really pickups left.
I was plowing with my own pickup, because when I go by, people see me, and I was plowing intersections with my private pickup this year. Wunderbar.
Okay, that's it,
It's in the
thank you.
budget, it's okay.
Okay. I'd like to invite Lou Fernandez, the Director of Recreation, to talk about Start Smart hirings.
Good evening. I had written a letter to the town board regarding the Start Smart baseball personnel for 2015. Generally, we like to have 1 instructor for every 10 to 12 participants, including Jared Kuzensky, who is the coordinator, so he is factored into that. So this year, we have, I say, approximately 54 signups. So I would ask to hire 4 Start Smart personnel. I have them listed: Mike Mendez, Brian Spasato, Joe Rebus, and Ashley Heiss, for the Start Smart Baseball at $140 for the program. It's a 6-week program, runs on Saturdays, an hour each day, cleanup and whatnot. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour program each Saturday.
My only question would be, I think last time we were hiring assistants and the board seemed very interested in posting the jobs. This letter seems to be dated after we had that discussion, and yet we're not posting the jobs again. So, real quick, what's up?
Okay, and I understand that, and there are positions that I would definitely, understand posting.
No, I know, but the board made it pretty clear that even this type of position, we would appreciate posting. I don't think there was any ambiguity in this board's position last meeting.
Personally, professionally, I would have to disagree with this type of position. I understand for a seasonal position but in a program that is like this, that is a short program, but in a very important program with the type of personnel, a 20-minute or even half-hour interview would not tell me what I need to know as far as having worked with these people or having them volunteered in the program from before. Because of the nature of it, if somebody in this type of program were to start and not work out, by the time I would come back to the town board, the program would be over. And I would not have, then I'd be short-staffed for the program.
Yeah, I understand, but you understand how basically the governing body of this town says X, and then you say, well, I just disagree, and after I give you the letter and come up here, I'm just gonna say, listen, thanks, but no thanks to that opinion. So, I mean, it's, I would have hoped that this discussion would have been had when we asked for the posting to happen the first time, and then you could give us this opinion, and then maybe our minds would have been changed. But instead, we are left in a situation where we probably have to approve this, even though I don't think that was the intention of the board last meeting. And maybe I'm speaking in line, but I think for the four of us that were here, we were interested in having these positions as low as they may be on the totem pole and as different as they may be. Hey, have an interview, see who else may want to apply.
Maybe that was my fault. My understanding was that was interested in seasonal positions, long-term positions, positions that were going to be earning a few $1,000s, that would be working 9, 10, 12 weeks, up to, 40 hours a week. If I misunderstood that, then I apologize. My belief for this type of program is that it is far better suited to have people that we are familiar with.
Right, and I don't think anybody's disputing that, Lou. I think that the issue is that we really should advertise for all open positions. And if you anticipated that this was going to, and I know it's a short program and it's not a lot of money, and you probably do want to hire somebody that has experience, but the experience and the knowledge about the program are factors that you take into consideration when making a decision who to hire. I still think you have to have, have it open to everybody, because there might be people in town that have worked at this program, maybe not in the town, but understand the program. You don't know who there is out there until you cast the net. And when I saw this memo, I sent it around to board members, and I was a little disappointed too, because I think we're between a rock and a hard place at this point, because if the program starts at the end of April, we certainly don't have an opportunity now to advertise, because it wouldn't go into the paper till next Tuesday, which, is the end of April. So, but, in the future, if you know when this is coming up, I think, throwing it in an ad and seeing who we get is not a bad idea. I think it's a very good idea.
Make a formal policy for the town.
Then that's what we may have to do.
Yeah, I think then we have to do that.
And this way going forward, it
Even-
doesn't reoccur and include all departments.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sit them all down for an interview, it's
Right,
simply the
absolutely.
taking in of resumes and, okay, well, I've worked with these guys here, their resume sounds good, and then you give us a recommendation. I think it's more of a principle of it that we seemed predisposed to just let everybody apply, and that wasn't the tack taken here. But, I'm going to approve it, but,
I understand that. I don't have an issue. That was my misunderstanding. I thought that, for seasonal personnel, long-term, or even, people that would be working 20, 40 hours a week, I understand. I don't have an issue doing it for this as well. We run this program 3 times a year with different, different sports, and I do not have an issue if the town board wants for any position, whether it be a scorekeeper or a Start Smart assistant or a seasonal who's going to work 9 or 12 weeks. That is not an issue. I will definitely comply with the town board going forward with that.
I think that would be a good policy in the future to absolutely
Make a
have.
policy.
Just to add my 2 cents, in past years, we sent out news releases, got permission from the town board, sent out news releases at the beginning of the year, any positions open the whole year, and kids would apply. But before, you know, we used to have day camps and stuff. We don't have them anymore. But and these jobs, these jobs are not even seasonal. They're, you know, but
Short-term.
Short-term stuff. But overall, I would put down whatever the needs of the rec department and include that in a major release, get permission from the town board, and then you've taken care of, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You've taken care of that. I would like residents hired, you know, for these jobs.
And I understand that, and if the town board would like me to, at the beginning of the year, get approval for all positions to be, you know, either put out at the beginning of the year or a few times during the year to either send, you know, go out through the newspaper or through the school district, depending on the type of position, you know, we can come to a decision on how that would best serve the department and the town, and we can move forward
And you
with
will
that.
get 100 kids to
I think
apply,
that's-
guaranteed.
Right, and you don't have to interview all of them, obviously.
But you still need it for the other departments, highway, like all of them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
combine everything and
And put out one
it to
policy.
the town
I think
clerk,
that's a
you
great
know.
idea.
I mean, I can put a, you know, for seasonal type positions, like, you know, the park maintenance, that would maybe be a different thing than for positions that work directly with programs and children. You know, that is not an issue. We can do it that way
Okay.
moving forward.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the workshop agenda is the building department clerk, and I'm going to be tabling that. We're still interviewing. And I would like to move up item 9, the discussion of Weinstein Enterprises, because we have, Mike Caruso is here this evening.
But now he has to stop billing. Now you have to stop billing. You were really racking up the hours today.
We can let you sit there all night.
Phone and the scrolling, so found nothing like a colleague who knows my wicked ways. So good evening, everyone. I trust you've had the opportunity to review the proposal we had submitted. Okay. Again, forgive my math and the methods I used, but I thought it was the plainest, most direct means of putting together some form of a fee to reflect, I guess we could call it the town's interest in parting ways or with any interest in this tiny piece of land.
Oh, they didn't prepare it. Yeah, this is
There's nothing here.
the letter. No, they didn't do it. Right. This is the letter. We got this a couple of weeks ago.
Does Mike see this?
This was sent to all board members a while back.
Yeah.
Weinstein Enterprises is suggesting a payment of $615.31 for this strip of land that they've been paying the taxes on and maintaining even after this decision in 1992.
Any problems, council, with this? Any problems?
In theory, no. I mean, it's really a business decision that the town board has to make at this point. And just let me say, if you do decide to sell it for a certain amount of money, it's subject to permissive referendum, so there would be a mandatory waiting period.
Okay. Thank you.
They've been paying taxes on this land for years, right?
Apparently.
Yes, the whole time.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Okay.
The only thing that I discussed, I think we discussed briefly on record last time, permissive referendum or not, we were still looking to clear title by commencing an action but resolving it just as quickly with a consent judgment. What that would do, we'd actually have to make the town a party to a litigation only to memorialize a settlement by a judgment that would basically read that any interest the town does or formerly had in this piece of property, it thereby absolves itself of and, you know, would vest back into Weinstein, effectively memorializing what we're trying to do here. So that would be more from my client, just to clear title, so this doesn't come back.
We don't need it so ordered, do we?
We should, yeah.
They definitely are going to need a court order quieting title in Weinstein's name at that point. You know, going forward, that's the only way they're really going to prove that they're the owner after this.
Even if we stip to it and have the
it's really
stip
barred.
entered in the clerk,
Uh,
discontinues with,
Like a so ordered stipulation of settlement?
I mean, I would
You
prefer to go.
haven't formally commenced the action, you had sent us a proposed.
Yeah, the only thing we would do is ministerially commence it in court. We'd immediately send you the consent judgment, which would have a little bit stronger effect than a stipulation. A stipulation courts could more readily toss aside, we'll say, but with the court having its stamp of approval on it, I guess you could say in the form of a judgment, resolving the issue between the parties, I think it's a little cleaner that way, for all parties, actually.
I don't have any objection to the point that I just don't want to spend any money receipt reviewing this summons and complaint. And
Yeah.
judgment.
It would be an endorsed pleading, one page, we would keep the facts very simple, and I'd provide a copy of the consent judgment and draft before we even commence the action, so you know exactly what you received. Try to take as little time as possible with the towns, to resolve it. Obviously, we'll get the final.
Council's comfortable?
Yes. So do we want to,
That's what you gotta do to clear title, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
right. Do we want to vote on this then this evening?
I'm fine, might as well get this guy out
That's-
of the way.
Yeah, he's been hanging around so
Oh, but I
long.
mean,
Let's-
you're right, he might be able to bill for
can
another
bill it
meeting
again
if we,
Well, the Purple Heart was a hard act to follow,
Yeah.
so it's nice to see that, though.
all right, Mike. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
The only thing, supervisors, I did not prepare a formal resolution for this matter, so if you want to adopt something, and then I can draft something tomorrow for you.
Yeah, I think we can just,
Okay.
adopt something. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, the next item is town email. We have discussed this briefly. Chief DiVenieri and I and Rich Harris, our IT specialist, have been in discussions with the county about moving our email over to the county server. They, currently, our email is attached, and as anybody who has tried to email members of this board understands, frequently our emails bounce back because we have very limited capacity. Our website is really ready to go. I mean, we still, can tweak it, and that's the beauty of it, is that we control it, so we can tweak it any time. We've just been holding up the go-live date because since our email is connected to our current website, we can't go live on our new website until we have our email someplace. So the county has offered us, and it would basically be a pilot program, to use their servers. It would be, shared services, which, everybody likes getting credit for at this point. It would be at no cost to the town. We would have almost unlimited capacity on the server. And it has been suggested, I was discussing this with Bruce Walker, the Deputy County Executive. He and I both are on the Fiscal Vision and Accountability Commission for the county, that we present this to that commission at our meeting on April 29th. I believe they would approve it. And then we could basically flip the switch within a couple of days on both the email and our new website.
My only concern, it would be the language of the agreement as to who owns the email, our privacy, our security. I would have to see the language before I would vote yes for it.
And that, I was hoping to have, I was discussing that with Bruce Walker, and he said, hopefully we were supposed to get something yesterday, and I was hoping to have it for the board, and I was unable to reach him. He was in meetings all day to get a copy of that. But if we could, so I don't know if we want to wait for the next meeting, which puts it off, another half
See the
week.
details.
But as soon as I get something, I would forward it to board members so that if we take a vote, that people would be ready to take a vote that night. And again, it would be a pilot program. We have looked into the email through our website, which is a paid by licensee service, which also has to be installed on individual computers, and it's a little more of a cumbersome system, and it would be an expense to the town, whereas this is not an expense to the town. So everybody just wants to wait for the next meeting?
That's fine with me.
Yes.
I will not vote in the affirmative
No,
until I have the details.
Now, did we need a vote on this?
I'm not really sure if, it's not like you're spending any money. It seems more like a managerial duty of, administration. But if, the board wants to see the agreement beforehand, certainly they should.
I think
Be able
that's
to review
important to see the agreement. I am concerned about privacy, confidentiality. I mentioned that to Maureen,
Well, that's, I mean, and that's
Yeah,
the
and I
chief's
know-
I
concern.
know,
The
and I read
supervisor
your
is as
email,
well.
and that was a concern of yours. It's also a
That's
concern,
a
I think,
concern of
all ours.
everyone's, right.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well-
Alex and I have,
It's not a
discussed this.
And
that
if
this
it's
is
a shared
Well,
service agreement, I want to see the agreement. What am I agreeing to?
I want to hear what Paul says.
I was just gonna say, my boss always says, don't send anything in email that you wouldn't want your mother or the judge to read. So, I mean, but it's fine, we can wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Sewer District Advisory Board update, Paul?
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's you.
So we had a meeting. It wasn't a board meeting because we only really had 2 members. So I just wanted to get it started. Then I begged people to hopefully join the committee, and I think I've had 3 or 4 more people who are interested. And then I went back to look at the law, and the committee is only allowed to have 5 people. So there's going to have to be a decision of those people who said yes, I'd love to be on, who will get the remaining 3 spots. Besides that, we discussed a lot of things. There was a lot of constituents and sewer district residents and owners there. And a couple points I want to bring to the board. One thing I was hoping, and I know it's last minute, but I was hoping the board would pass tonight is, I think it was in November, we had extended the time for the hookups for the sewer residents through the winter. And we set a date of April 25th, and in our discussions, we basically said, we don't know what the weather's gonna be like, could be a bad winter, let's set it out for the 25th, and then if we need to change it, we can. The building inspector came to the meeting last night. He said that the contractor's having problems still getting through the frost line, there's a lot of water, and that he would recommend, and there are still some people who are in the process of hooking up, to extend it until July 1st. Everybody then who's in the process will be hooked up. And the alternative is that there's fines upwards of $1,000 a day for not hooking up. And it's really, these guys have the contractors paid for, they're on site, they're just not able to complete the work right now. So I would hope the board would extend the deadline. It has no other effect than to alleviate the property owners, because the plant is running. It was been running for the last 2 weeks. We've stopped doing the carting, where it would all go into the plant and then it would be carted out because we didn't have enough flow to actually turn the switch. The switch has been turned on a couple weeks ago, so we're going forward with that. The issues that the committee or the informal discussion brought up was that there was apparently a discussion about a certain type of water meter that would be used by all residents, so that there'd be a fair understanding of how much water you're using. And since that water meter is needed in the near future, they said, I wasn't here at the time the law was going on, that Jeff Cantelmo said that that he was going to technically recommend, or we would propose a specific meter so that everybody was on the same page. So they were hoping for some guidance on what meters to use to make their annual reporting. No, they didn't say Jeff came to the board and said it here. They said that they were asking him, there was questions about meters, and the answer was, we need to, or it would be a good idea to set a specific type of meter so that everybody's flow is monitored equally. Some meters different than others.
As long as it's an approved plumbing device, I don't see how you'd favor one brand. They all read how many gallons flow through it.
I assume that, but it's like, I mean, and this was a concern.
I'm not a plumber.
No, it's a concern brought to me by the residents themselves. It's almost like having a thermometer, and you're looking at 3 thermometers in the same room, and one's reading a different degree than the other, just because the individual system is just calibrated a little differently, that there could be a situation where you have a big, you know, a 4,000, gallon unit who's reading 10% more than another who's, is reading 10% less, and it could be a discrepancy.
Did our
Listen, I
building
don't-
inspector know anything about the?
He jetted in and out of the meeting. He had to go to another meeting, so I didn't get to talk to him. And this is not a request, it's just what was brought up at the meeting.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
I
should-
understand,
We should
yeah.
discuss it. The other concerns was, and I'm sure Maureen will like this, they wanted us to reconsider tipping, bringing in outside waste and carters to the sewer district to hold down the costs until all the remainder flow has been eaten up. That is, I would say, is probably, there's about 12 people there, near unanimous position to me to bring it up to the board and have the board discuss it. There was also a request to have some sort of update on Kent Manor, if we have an update on when they may be going forward, or if there's a timetable. I didn't have an answer.
I don't think there is.
I don't know if there is any update.
I haven't heard an idea. No.
The final thing that wanted to be brought up is, once the committee gets fully constituted, which I hope will be by next meeting, they were hoping to go out to the sewer plant and just take a look at how the operation works. One of the individuals who's looking to be on the committee works at a sewer plant in Pauling, and so there was hopefully to be a technical understanding and maybe go and see the plant itself, and maybe get a, potentially have the operator or somebody there to explain some issues, because there are a lot of questions that, once they got into the nitty-gritty of sewer gallon questions, I kind of had a blank stare for that part of the meeting. So, but with that said, there was good turnout, 11, 12 people. Everybody seemed to be very interested and want to air their opinion and ask questions. And so my initial hope is that we will extend the period of hookup until July 1st, and then I will bring these additional issues up to, if they make sense, to our attorney or to the engineer or to whoever they need to, and we can hopefully address them in the near future.
I understand the extension. The ground is very, very
Yeah.
saturated still, and it's gonna make, hookups difficult. If they need another month, then they need another month.
And it's not that we're just holding out hope that people will hook up. We have a significant amount of people who have hired the contractors that have started the process. They're just not gonna be able to finish. And that's what Bill Walters, he gave me a chart and said that, technically they'd be on the hook for a lot of fees.
Right, and certainly when we set the date, we had no clue how difficult this winter was going to be.
Exactly.
That's the sewer district update.
Great, thank you, Paul. Okay, the cemetery mowing bid. We put the mowing of the cemeteries out for bid, and we got one bid, and it was significantly higher than our mowing costs have been. And so I consulted with our town council about whether it was possible for us to reject the bid and rebid, and was told that it was. And at this point, I think it's in the best interest of the town. Obviously, we would never have budgeted the amount of the contract, so I recommend that we reject the bid and authorize the town clerk to rebid. Okay, we've done the cemetery mowing. Homeland Towers assignment. Nancy, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, a few weeks back, we had gotten this request from Homeland Towers to assign the 3 site lease agreements to another entity called Insight Towers Development LLC. And the agreement that we have with Homeland prohibits the assignment of the site lease agreements without the town board's consent, which there's a couple of different phrases in the contract as to whether or not it could not be arbitrarily withheld or unreasonably withheld. And Councilman Denbaum had asked me to look into what the standard was for withholding a refusal, and it's my opinion that because it refers to Section 72 of the General Municipal Law, which uses the phrase arbitrarily and capriciously, but in the same paragraph, it also uses the word unreasonably. So I think it's ambivalent, and any ambivalency in this type of agreement is usually construed against the drafter, which apparently was the town attorney when this was first drafted. So I think you have to stick to the unreasonable standard just to be safe. The other thing it says is, we're not required to give consent where the installation isn't continued by an entity that's duly licensed by the government to operate a wireless communication system. So they had forwarded to us, I believe last week, some documentation to demonstrate that they were licensed to operate the facility. And prior to that, they had also sent to you some financials to show their financial stability. So I think with that, we've addressed all of the town board's concerns, unless someone else has another question or concern. And the other thing was, there was some estoppel language in the agreement that we objected to, so they've taken it out.
Thank you.
We're all looking at you.
What, why are we looking at me? I mean, that's, you know, I guess is the section void because, you know, public policy via the state law would say that when a town leases property, they can't withhold it arbitrarily and capriciously, and this one says reasonable, so, I mean, could the arbitrary and capricious language win out that way? I don't know. I didn't really look to.
Could have been, and without looking at this contract, there's probably a section in here which says that if any provision is invalid, then it's deemed to be not part of, that's what most agreements would say. And then I think probably the municipal law would stand, which is arbitrarily and capriciously, so, you know, it's unclear. I don't know if the board objects to the assignment, and if we have to worry about what standard we're using in our objection.
I mean, it was contractually anticipated that it would be assigned. I don't have an issue with it, do you?
I don't.
Mike?
No questions?
Okay, I have an issue. I don't care what you do with the other two towers, but you have one tower in litigation, and I didn't hear anyone talk about one tower being in litigation and why you should not then give consent to assign to Insight. First of all, the signs are already on your towers before you even approved it. I don't know if you're all aware of that. I know one of you are aware of it, that the signs of Insight are there. This is the modus operandi of Homeland Towers. But now you have litigation, could go on for a year. What are they operating? My suggestion is, give them the consent for the two and leave Smoky Hollow Court out of it until the last final word has been spoken about it. It makes common sense to me.
Nancy?
I'm honestly not familiar enough with the litigation to even know who the named parties are or what the agreement between Homeland and Insight is with respect to, you know, the litigation and its effect on its successors and assigns. So without looking into it a little bit more, I couldn't really comment on that. Is Homeland?
They have on, can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt. They actually, who's the board member that knows they have Insight stuff up there or whatever? I didn't know. You said one of us knows that there was Insight.
Yeah, I saw a picture of the
I mean, what's
sign
that
on.
about?
They put up their signs, that's
No, I
now
know,
being operated by.
I guess.
That's
I'm
Homeland
asking-
Towers, that's what they do. The cart goes before the
Right,
horse.
I was going to contact them yesterday, and then I thought if we were going to vote on this evening, it might be moot, but I don't know if it's affected by litigation, if they would even want us to sign off on two and then wait on a third. I don't know
I
what the
think we need
impact
to
of.
find out, don't you?
And speaking with my counsel, it's not unreasonable when you have litigation going on to withhold the consent.
I don't think we're suing Homeland Towers, so I'm not sure that we're the party that would be concerned with the assignment, though, as far as litigation goes.
No, I know something.
And just on a,
And I don't want to say it here.
I'm sorry. On a side note, just so you know, your other counsel told you wrong in February when I had missed all my deadlines to file my appeal. You obviously know that I filed it in a timely manner.